the biggest breakthrough in the search for Cleopatra. She may even have found the final resting place of Egypt's last queen.
In a stunning revelation that's sending shockwaves through the scientific and archaeological worlds, researchers have just made a groundbreaking announcement, one that could completely change everything we thought we knew about ancient history. This discovery is truly historic, and its impact has left everyone, from leading experts to everyday people, absolutely stunned. Beneath the sands of Egypt, secrets long buried may finally come to light, potentially revealing the ultimate truth about the most legendary queen of all time and the mystery of her final resting place, the hidden temple. Beneath the ruins. For decades, archaeologists have searched the sands of Egypt, chasing whispers from ancient records about a lost chamber, a place believed to be connected to the final days of Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of Egypt. Despite countless efforts, no solid evidence ever came to light, until now. A team led by Dr. Kathleen Martinez, a Dominican archaeologist passionately dedicated to uncovering Cleopatra's story, made a breathtaking breakthrough near the ancient site of Taposiris Magna. What started as a routine, ground-penetrating radar scan beneath the 2,000-year-old temple ruins quickly turned into something extraordinary. Beneath layers of crumbling limestone and centuries of sediment, researchers discovered a hidden tunnel carved with incredible precision. Stretching over 4,000 feet and buried 43 feet below ground, the tunnel's sheer size and craftsmanship left experts stunned. This wasn't just a simple passageway. It was engineering far beyond what they thought possible for the time. As workers carefully cleared the first sections, they found fragments of pottery, votive offerings, and a few coins, all bearing Cleopatra's unmistakable profile. But it was what they didn't find that truly set off a wave of excitement. More intrigue. There were no signs of looting, no damage, no evidence of previous discovery, no footprints from modern explorers. This site had remained completely untouched for thousands of years. And then came the real twist. 2 previously unknown chambers, sealed tight and entirely submerged beneath groundwater. Early scans revealed that one of these hidden rooms had a unique architectural design, strikingly similar to tombs found in the Valley of the Kings. The implications were immediate and electrifying. Could this hidden temple, overlooked for centuries, actually be concealing Cleopatra's final resting place? Why this location? Changes everything. At first glance, Taposiris Magna didn't seem like the obvious place to search for Cleopatra's tomb. History tells us Cleopatra died in Alexandria, and for a long time experts assumed her burial site was somewhere within the royal quarter, now lost beneath the sea. So why here? Dr. Martinez and her team believe the answer isn't found in the ruins themselves, but in Cleopatra's powerful identity as a goddess queen. The temple at Taposiris Magna was dedicated to Osiris, the ancient god of the underworld. Cleopatra, who was known for carefully aligning herself with the divine, may have chosen this sacred place as her final resting site, hoping to join Osiris in eternity. She may have orchestrated her own burial in a place where she could symbolically unite with Osiris in death, just as Isis, his divine consort, did in Egyptian mythology. Adding to this theory are a series of hieroglyphic inscriptions and Greco-Egyptian carvings discovered on-site. One frieze, though partially damaged, is still legible and appears to depict a woman wearing both the uraeus royal cobra and the vulture crown of Upper Egypt, symbols uniquely tied to a ruling queen. Her arm is extended toward a stylized depiction of the underworld, flanked by Anubis and Thoth. Scholars are now debating whether this scene is purely symbolic or actually a direct representation of Cleopatra herself preparing for her journey into the afterlife. Strengthening the case even further is the temple's strategic location. Taposiris Magna sits between Alexandria and the Nile Delta, an area known for ancient seismic activity and flooding. Dr. Martinez believes this placement was no accident. She argues Cleopatra may have deliberately chosen this location to shield her tomb from future desecration, especially if she feared Roman forces would try to destroy her legacy after her death. And then there's the power of myth. For centuries, villagers near the site spoke of a queen who sleeps in stone, guarded by serpents and water. Until now, most dismissed the story as just a local legend, but after these discoveries, no one is laughing anymore. Strange artifacts and a new timeline. Inside the exposed sections of the submerged tunnel and the nearby chamber, archaeologists uncovered far more than just pottery and coins. They found anomalies. Among the most puzzling were a series of carved alabaster jars sealed with wax. Carbon dating suggests these jars date back to the 1st century BCE, the era of Cleopatra herself. Decorated with hybrid Greco-Egyptian symbols, these weren't typical burial items. Instead, they closely resembled ceremonial vessels used by mystery cults, secret religious groups devoted to Isis worship, with influence stretching as far as Greece and Rome. Their presence hints that Cleopatra's burial may have involved rites that blurred the lines between traditional Egyptian theology and Hellenistic mysticism. Another stunning find was an obsidian amulet etched with the image of a scorpion wrapped around a papyrus scroll. The scorpion, symbol of Selket, the goddess who protects the dead, appeared again and again on the temple walls, always facing east. This recurring pattern has led some researchers to speculate that the tomb, if it's nearby, might be astronomically aligned, possibly with Sirius, the ancient Egyptian star of rebirth. And then came the most astonishing discovery of all. Hidden inside a jar, protected by an air pocket, was a fragment of parchment, amazingly preserved despite centuries underground. Written in ancient Greek, the incomplete text refers to a woman called only "She Who Reigns Twice," a title many scholars believe points to Cleopatra. The document hints that Cleopatra may have arranged for her body to be hidden, possibly with the help of devoted priests of Isis, within a sacred double-chambered tomb. If this interpretation proves true, it could completely rewrite everything we know about the final days of the last Pharaoh of Egypt. A hidden timeline of Cleopatra's burial. The evidence suggests that Cleopatra's death and burial weren't impulsive acts, but part of a carefully planned, perhaps even prophetic ritual. It seems her final resting place was deliberately concealed to protect her essence, her divinity, from falling into Roman hands. The sealed chamber that won't budge. At the center of this unfolding mystery lies a massive limestone door, sealed tight beneath 30 feet of water. Discovered at the end of the submerged corridor, the door appears to block the entrance to a tomb-like chamber, untouched for more than 2,000 years. It's a truly unique find, unlike anything ever discovered within a Greco-Egyptian temple rather than a traditional necropolis, leading some to believe it was constructed in secret, perhaps even after Cleopatra's death. Despite using state-of-the-art water pumps and advanced ground-freezing techniques, progress has been painstakingly slow. The groundwater is heavily saturated with salts and corrosive elements, making the structure dangerously fragile. One wrong move could collapse the entire site. Still, early sonar and infrared scans of the chamber have sparked intense excitement. Behind the sealed door, researchers detected a void shaped like a sarcophagus, a raised dais, and 2 guardian statues flanking the entrance, one possibly representing Isis and the other Osiris. This sacred arrangement mirrors burial traditions reserved for deified royalty. If Cleopatra's remains lie beyond that door, it would be the most important archaeological discovery since the opening of Tutankhamun's tomb. Why caution is critical. But the team is proceeding carefully, and for good reason. According to ancient legends, temples devoted to Isis were sometimes protected by cursed architecture. Not dramatic traps like in Hollywood films, but unstable stonework, hidden false floors, and confusing tunnel systems designed to thwart tomb robbers. One wrong step could destroy what they've fought so hard to uncover. There are also growing political tensions behind the scenes. Insiders hint that Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities may soon pause the excavation, fearing that the discovery, especially if Cleopatra's body is found intact, could spark major political debates. Such a revelation would likely reignite arguments over cultural sovereignty, Western imperialism, and the true legacy of one of history's most legendary women. As divers and engineers prepare for a new phase of excavation next month, the entire world is watching with bated breath. What lies beyond that sealed door might not just change our understanding of Cleopatra, it could rewrite the story of her final days altogether. The Isis cult connection. As the dig continues, scholars have noticed an intriguing pattern emerging, not just in the artifacts or architecture, but in the symbolism itself. Nearly every object recovered from the tunnel appears to share one common thread: deep ties to Isis, the Egyptian goddess of magic, motherhood, and resurrection. But this wasn't the typical mainstream worship found in most ancient Egyptian tombs. Instead, it reflected a more ritualized, secretive form of devotion, hinting at hidden rites that Cleopatra may have embraced to secure her place in both history and the afterlife. An initiation into divinity. The Temple of Taposiris Magna wasn't just a sacred site. It was deliberately transformed by Cleopatra herself to elevate the cult of Isis, intertwining her public image with that of the goddess. Cleopatra didn't simply support the cult, she portrayed herself as Isis incarnate. But according to the archaeological team, this wasn't merely political theater. The new findings suggest Cleopatra may have intentionally bound her afterlife journey to Isis's mythology, following rituals once reserved only for the gods. One of the most intriguing discoveries was a bronze ceremonial headdress, intricately shaped like a serpent and adorned with gold leaf, depicting Isis nursing the infant Horus. Experts now believe this headdress may have been used in a posthumous rite to initiate Cleopatra, not just as a queen, but as a divine being. If this interpretation proves correct, it would mean Cleopatra's burial was intended as a divine transformation, not just a royal farewell. Adding weight to this theory, archaeologists uncovered a hidden chamber just beyond the main tunnel, accessible only through a shaft buried deep in mud. Inside, they found a faded mural showing a woman in white robes merging with a golden light above a seated figure of Isis. Weathered inscriptions surrounding the scene read, "She became the flesh of the Nile, the voice of the stars." The implications are haunting. Cleopatra may have been buried not merely as Egypt's last queen, but as a goddess, deliberately hidden from the mortal world to protect her sanctity. But this raises an even deeper question. Why hide her? Why bury her story beneath earth, salt, and secrecy? According to Dr. Marissa Allam, an Egyptologist working at the site, there's a growing belief that Cleopatra's death was not just political, but prophetic. Like Isis, Cleopatra may have believed that death was a metamorphosis, and that her tomb needed mystical protection from desecration, especially by Roman conquerors. "She didn't want to be remembered," Dr. Allam explained in a recent press briefing. "She wanted to be found at the right time, by the right people." International pressure and rising controversy. But with every new revelation, the controversy grows. The announcement of the sealed chamber, and the whispers that Cleopatra's remains might lie inside, have triggered a global firestorm, not just among scholars but across governments, religious groups, and conspiracy circles. Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities initially celebrated the discovery with great enthusiasm. Now, however, their tone has noticeably shifted. Multiple reports suggest rising tensions behind the scenes, between the Egyptian government, international archaeologists, and even the Coptic Orthodox Church, which has long expressed sensitivity toward excavations that challenge traditional historical narratives. Biblical fears and global tensions. Some voices within religious circles are growing uneasy. Digging up a woman worshipped as a god, one anonymous Vatican-linked scholar told La Repubblica, could raise questions the Church has no interest in answering. That concern isn't isolated. Conservative religious groups around the world are also wary, fearing that re-elevating Cleopatra to a divine status could spark both spiritual and political upheaval. And it's not just the religious world feeling the tension. On the geopolitical front, France and Italy, both holding vast collections of Cleopatra-era artifacts in their museums, are reportedly lobbying behind the scenes to secure viewing rights or even temporary custody if her remains or burial treasures are found. Meanwhile, leaked communications reveal the U.S. State Department is closely monitoring the situation, worried that the discovery could trigger unrest, especially if it reignites debates over cultural repatriation or challenges accepted historical narratives. Already, the hashtag #Cleopatra curse has started trending on social media. Some users warn that disturbing Cleopatra's tomb could unleash a string of disasters. "First COVID, now this," one user posted. "Leave the dead alone. We were never meant to find her." At the center, Dr. Kathleen Martinez. At the heart of this growing storm is Dr. Kathleen Martinez, the Dominican archaeologist who has spent nearly 2 decades chasing Cleopatra's lost tomb. Once hailed as a visionary, Martinez now finds herself both celebrated and targeted. Egyptian tabloids have dubbed her the foreign woman awakening secrets best left buried, but Martinez remains resolute. Even more intriguing, its location sits directly beneath what would have been the inner sanctum of the Temple of Taposiris Magna. "This structure isn't natural," confirmed Dr. Alan Rousseau, a French geophysicist working with the team. "It was built intentionally, and it hasn't been disturbed in 2,000 years. Initial scans show the chamber measures over 30 meters long and is sealed by a rare double locking system, one mechanism Egyptian in design, the other distinctly Hellenistic. It's a fusion of 2 cultures, just like Cleopatra herself. But the real shock came from what the magnetic imaging revealed inside. Whispers of gold and sacred remains. Faint metallic echoes inside the chamber suggest the presence of gold, or at least metal alloys not commonly used during Cleopatra's era. One corner of the chamber shows denser organic matter, possibly a mummified body encased in stone or lead, and even more haunting, the supposed remains appear to be positioned in a lotus formation, a sacred burial posture typically reserved for deities and revered figures. Attached to the main structure, a small subchamber was also detected, easy to miss, but not on GPR scans. Inside, something stands upright. Its GPR signature is stronger than granite, suggesting a preserved idol or statue, possibly an image of Isis or even Cleopatra herself. Now, there's a question hanging heavy in the air, one no one dares to speak too loudly. What if she's really in there? The crypt that could change history. If the chamber is opened and Cleopatra is truly found inside, it could completely reshape not just Egyptology, but the global understanding of Cleopatra herself. For centuries, her image has been pulled between 2 extremes: the Roman propaganda portrait of a seductress and the modern feminist reclamation of a brilliant, strategic queen. But if Cleopatra's tomb is found intact, with her own funerary rites preserved, we may finally see her on her own terms. Queen, goddess, and woman of extraordinary mythic power. The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb could rewrite history. She wasn't just a brilliant ruler. This tomb suggests she was a mythmaker, a religious reformer, and perhaps the last monarch to claim she was a living god. If confirmed, museums worldwide would have to relabel countless artifacts. The Vatican might face tough questions about ancient god worship, and feminist scholars see a major opportunity to reclaim the lost narrative of female divinity. Meanwhile, political commentators warn that Egypt's national identity could be shaken by a resurgence of ancient pride, and Cleopatra may not be alone. Radar scans show a second sarcophagus-shaped void, raising whispers that Mark Antony could be buried beside her, united in death as they were in life. UNESCO is pushing for an international team to oversee the tomb's opening, but Egypt insists it should be their decision alone, a final gift to their queen. For now, the tomb remains sealed. As Dr. Kathleen Martinez said, "The Earth has waited 2,000 years. We can wait 2 more weeks." Inside Cairo's Ministry of Antiquities, fierce debates rage. Archaeologists, politicians, and religious leaders clash over what should happen next. Egyptian President Mahmoud al-Gendi, once a vocal supporter of tourism, has gone silent. Some warn that opening the tomb could spiritually and socially backfire. One cleric even declared, "We stand at the doorway of forgotten gods. The veil between ancient power and modern faith must not be lifted carelessly." Meanwhile, rumors swirl. Foreign governments offering secret support, extremists issuing threats, and Egypt dramatically increasing site security at Taposiris Magna. The public, however, is growing impatient. Across the Arab world, hashtags like Tear Open Cleopatra and Return the Queen are surging, and protests have broken out in Alexandria. The tomb's stone door remains closed for now, but the pressure outside is reaching a breaking point. Cleopatra's tomb is no longer just an archaeological discovery. It's a global event that could change how we understand history, faith, and power forever. For centuries, Cleopatra's true story has been buried beneath Roman propaganda, Shakespearean drama, and Hollywood glamour. Now, if her tomb is confirmed, we may finally hear her voice through her own inscriptions, burial rites, and symbols, not just through what her enemies said. This discovery would be huge, not just for history but for Egypt, which is reclaiming its heritage and reasserting its ancient identity. Cleopatra could become a powerful symbol of cultural pride, showing Egypt's greatness came from within, not from foreign conquest. There's also a gender revolution at stake. Cleopatra wasn't just a queen, she was a scholar, a diplomat, a navy commander, and a ruler. Finding her intact could redefine how history remembers powerful women. As Dr. Noura Al-Matbuli said, this won't just rewrite history, it will rewrite the story of women in power. Meanwhile, at Taposiris Magna, tensions are rising. Leaked images hint the team has reached a sealed antechamber, possibly protected by ancient rituals. The risks are enormous. The chamber is waterlogged and unstable. One mistake could destroy priceless artifacts forever. Even more exciting, fragments found near the chamber bear unknown hieroglyphs, possibly secret messages from Cleopatra herself. International DNA experts are reportedly being flown in, suggesting they might soon attempt to map Cleopatra's genetic profile, potentially settling long-standing debates about her ancestry. Security has tightened around the site. Communication is strictly controlled. Dr. Kathleen Martinez and her team have gone silent, preparing for what could be the most important archaeological reveal in a century. The world waits. Will the chamber hold a looted ruin? Or Cleopatra, untouched, ready to tell her story across 2,000 years? The final descent is near, and with it, the truth. Would you want the tomb opened, or should Cleopatra's secrets stay buried? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Until next time.